My fiancé and my best friend cheated on me while I was away on a business trip. 1. The life I trusted. James Hill believed he had built a solid life. At 34, he was respected in his field, rising quickly as a regional operations manager for a logistics firm based in Chicago. He worked hard, traveled often, and provided well, not just for himself, but for the future he was building with the woman he loved. Her name was Vanessa Brooks. Vanessa was his fiancée of 2 years. Soft-spoken, elegant, and warm, she had a smile that made people feel safe. They met at a charity fundraiser through mutual friends, and from the beginning, she felt like peace to James. She worked as a marketing consultant, mostly remote, which meant she spent a lot of time at home, their home. Then there was Derek Cole. Derek wasn't just James's best friend. He was family. They grew up on the same block on the South Side, survived the same struggles, shared the same dreams. Derek had slept on James's couch when life knocked him down. James had loaned Derek money, defended him, trusted him with his back turned. There were no secrets between them. Or not so James believed. On a quiet Sunday evening, James packed his suitcase for a 5-day business trip to Atlanta. A promotion was on the line, one that would finally secure the future he and Vanessa talked about every night. Vanessa leaned against the bedroom doorframe, arms folded loosely. "You sure you'll be okay?" she asked gently. James smiled. "I'll be fine. It's just work. 5 days." She walked over and adjusted his tie even though he wasn't wearing one yet. "I hate when you're gone." "I hate it too," he said, pulling her into a hug. "But it's temporary. Everything I'm doing is for us." Derek had stopped by earlier that day, joking as usual. "Man, don't forget us little people when you start flying private," Derek laughed. James shook his head. "You know I got you." If James had known that sentence would haunt him, he might have said less. That night, James kissed Vanessa goodbye and promised to call every night. She waved from the doorway as his Uber pulled away. And just like that, the life he trusted stayed behind. Atlanta was busy, loud, and demanding. Meetings ran long. Dinners were stiff and formal. James spent his nights in hotel rooms, FaceTiming Vanessa when time allowed. But something felt off. Vanessa still smiled, still said she missed him, but her responses were shorter. She sometimes answered calls late. Sometimes she didn't answer at all. "I fell asleep," she explained once. Another time, she said, "I was on a call with a client." James wanted to believe her. He did believe her. Derek texted occasionally too. "How's ATL? Bring me back something expensive." Normal stuff. But on the third night, James noticed something small, something that shouldn't have mattered, but did. Vanessa posted a photo on her Instagram story. Wine glasses. Soft lighting. A caption, "Much needed unwind." James stared at the screen. She hadn't mentioned company. He called her immediately. "Oh, I'm just relaxing," she said quickly. "Long day. By yourself." A pause. "Too long." "Yeah. I mean, Derek stopped by earlier to check on the place, but he already left." James laughed lightly. "You know you don't have to explain." But after the call ended, he sat on the edge of the hotel bed, staring at the wall. Something in his chest felt tight. On the 4th day, the deal closed early. James's supervisor clapped him on the back. "You did great. You're getting that promotion." Relief washed over him. Without hesitation, James booked an earlier flight home. He didn't tell Vanessa. He wanted to surprise her. He imagined her smile, her laugh, her arms around his neck. He landed in Chicago just before midnight. The Uber ride felt longer than usual. When he reached the house, the lights were on. That surprised him. He unlocked the door quietly. Shoes sat near the entrance, 2 pairs he didn't recognize immediately. Music played softly from the bedroom. James's heart started pounding. He walked down the hallway. The bedroom door was half open. He pushed it gently, and froze. Vanessa was on the bed. Derek was there too. They didn't notice him at first. Then Vanessa looked up. Her face drained of color. James. Derek turned. The room went silent. No explanations. No screaming. No dramatic collapse. Just the sound of James's suitcase hitting the floor. And the sound of his life breaking in half. No one moved. Vanessa sat frozen on the bed, the sheet pulled up to her chest. Derek stood halfway off the mattress, like a man deciding whether to run or beg. James didn't shout. That scared them more than yelling ever could. How long? James asked quietly. Vanessa swallowed hard. James, please. How long? Derek opened his mouth. James raised a hand. Not you. Vanessa's voice trembled. It just happened. James let out a hollow laugh. That's not an answer. Derek finally spoke. Bro, listen. James turned slowly. His eyes were calm, but something inside them had collapsed. You don't get to call me that. The word bro fell to the floor, dead. Vanessa slid off the bed, tears spilling freely now. I was lonely. You were always gone. Derek was just there. James nodded slowly, as if filing facts. So you solved loneliness with betrayal? Derek ran a hand over his face. Man, I never planned this. It just... Stop, James said softly. You planned it the moment you didn't leave. Silence again. James picked up his suitcase and walked toward the door. Vanessa rushed after him, barefoot. Where are you going? Somewhere my trust isn't being used against me. You can't just leave. James stopped and turned back. I already did. He walked out. James sat in his car for almost an hour. He didn't drive. He didn't cry. He just stared at the steering wheel. At 1:47 a.m., his phone buzzed. Vanessa. He ignored it. Then Derek. Ignored. His chest hurt, not in a dramatic way, but like something vital had been pulled out and replaced with emptiness. He drove to a hotel across town. That night, sleep never came. Memories did. Vanessa laughing in the kitchen. Derek standing beside him at the proposal. Both of them smiling in photos that now felt staged. By morning, the shock gave way to anger. Not the explosive kind. The quiet kind that changes people. By afternoon, James's phone wouldn't stop buzzing. Vanessa had told her sister. Derek had told mutual friends. His version softened, polished. People started calling. Some offered sympathy. Some asked questions that felt like knives. Some said nothing at all. James's mother, Elaine Hill, called last. Come home, she said gently. Let me see you. James drove across the city to the house he grew up in. Elaine hugged him tightly, holding him longer than necessary. You don't have to be strong here, she whispered. And for the first time, James broke. Not loudly. He cried into his mother's shoulder like a child who had lost something he couldn't explain. 2 days later, James returned to the house, with his mother beside him. Vanessa sat at the dining table, eyes swollen. Derek wasn't there. That says enough, Elaine said quietly. Vanessa stood up. Ms. Hill, please. Elaine raised a hand. No. Sit. Vanessa obeyed. Elaine turned to James. Say what you came to say. James placed the engagement ring on the table. This is over. Vanessa sobbed. James, please. We can fix this. James shook his head. Trust isn't something you fix after breaking it with someone I trusted as family. Elaine added softly, love without loyalty is just a performance. Vanessa covered her face. James walked out again, this time without hesitation. Derek finally showed up 3 days later. He knocked on James's apartment door nervously. James opened it, calm but distant. I just want to explain, Derek said. James leaned against the doorframe. Explain why you slept with my fiancé. Or why you did it in my bed. Derek's voice cracked. I hate myself for it. James nodded. Good. That's not forgiveness, Derek said. I know, James replied. It's closure. James stepped back and closed the door. That was the last conversation they ever had. Weeks passed. James threw himself into work, but not to escape, to rebuild. He moved into a new apartment, new neighborhood, new routines. He unfollowed people who brought noise. He learned to sit with silence. One evening, his co-worker Aisha Reynolds invited him for coffee. No pressure, she said. Just human company. They talked about life, work, pain. Nothing romantic, just honest. James realized something important that night. Healing didn't come from replacing people. It came from reclaiming yourself. 6 months later, James stood in front of a mirror adjusting his tie. Promotion secured. Life stabilized. Peace restored. Vanessa had tried to reach out again. Apologies, regrets, memories. He never responded. Derek had moved away. James didn't ask where. He didn't need to. That night, James sat on his balcony, city lights glowing. He wasn't bitter. He wasn't broken. He was awake. Some betrayals destroy you. Others remove what was never meant to stay. And James Hill finally understood. Losing them didn't cost him his future. It protected it. James thought silence would protect him. He was wrong. One Saturday morning, while making coffee, his phone buzzed repeatedly. Messages. Missed calls. Notifications. A mutual friend, Tanya, finally texted. James, I didn't want you to hear it like this. But Vanessa posted something. James opened social media. Vanessa had gone public. A long post. Carefully written. Tears implied, not shown. She talked about mistakes, loneliness, pressure, and regret. She never named Derek. Never mentioned betrayal clearly. The comments were divided. Some defended her. Some blamed James for being absent. Some asked questions. James felt something twist in his stomach. Not pain. Disgust. He realized something important then. People who betray you often rush to control the narrative. James didn't respond publicly. But Derek did. 3 days later, screenshots leaked. Messages. Dates. Times. The truth spilled without James lifting a finger. Vanessa and Derek had been seeing each other for months, not days. They joked about James's trips. They planned nights together. One message stood out. Vanessa, he trusts you completely. Derek, that's why this works. The internet turned quickly. Vanessa deleted her post. Then her account. Derek disappeared entirely. James watched from a distance, unmoved. Because public shame wasn't his goal. Peace was. Vanessa lost more than James. Her consulting clients quietly cut ties. Trust mattered in her field. Reputation mattered. Friends distanced themselves, not loudly, but intentionally. One evening, she sat alone in the house that no longer felt like home. She dialed James again. Straight to voicemail. She whispered into the phone anyway. I didn't think it would end like this. But consequences don't ask permission. They arrive. James changed, but not in the way people expected. He didn't harden. He clarified. He started therapy, not because he was broken, but because he refused to carry damage forward. I don't want to bleed on people who didn't cut me, he told his therapist. He reconnected with his younger cousin, mentoring him. He started volunteering once a month at a community center. Quietly. No posts. No praise. Healing became private. Powerful. One afternoon, a letter arrived. Handwritten. From Derek. James stared at it for a long time before opening it. Derek didn't ask for forgiveness. He admitted everything. The envy. The resentment. The moment he crossed a line and didn't come back. I lost a brother, Derek wrote. And I deserved to. James folded the letter carefully. He didn't reply. But he didn't feel anger either. That surprised him most.